Welcome back to Stormworks. I'm still on the DLC kick. They released a new update, small missile parts, or just missile parts in general. It used to be that you had to make missiles out of aircraft parts, and obviously that wasn't going to work very well, so missiles were basically useless. Now, missiles are great. I've put together this, my very first attack helicopter. It is called the Vampire for reasons that will become blindingly obvious. As you can see, I've got two red fangs coming out of my nose here. So this helicopter has two basic combat options. One combat option is the turret on the nose, which you can see is tracking all on its own. I'm not controlling it at all, it just does that. Over here on the screen, you can see exactly what it's looking at. These are the turrets in question. They are not very big. They're not the strongest turrets around, but it's a helicopter. The other option we've got, and we could knock this guy out of the sky right now with the turret. That's actually what we should do, but I wanted to show you the missiles. So if we get ourselves to a range that makes sense, like this, you don't want to use missiles when you're close. They don't really have time to home in. I generally find that, you need to boop. Well, now I'm unstable, so I better fire them now. Looks like we hit him with 2 or 3 of those missiles. So we're gonna see him crash over there. He flipped out and crashed. Let's teleport and go over and take a peek. Now, these small missiles are not the deadliest missiles in the world. They are very good against helicopters, but obviously their explosion radius is fairly small because they are small missiles. And there's really no way to amp that up as far as I can tell. So you can't make more or less potent small missiles. You can just make faster or slower missiles. As you can see, we basically baked this helicopter. There's nothing left of it. So that is a clone that has been torched. You have to kill vampires with fire. So I figured that what we could do is just take a quick little peek at some of the other features of the helicopter, because it was a lot of fun to make. Building a fairly large assault helicopter like this is not the world's easiest thing to do. I actually built 3 helicopters and the other ones were pretty terrible. Here on the outside you can see we've got our turret, our blood-stained turret. We've got 8 missiles, 4 on each side. They fire in a single salvo. And we have a large underbelly full of flares and a radar detector because, as you saw, missiles are now a threat. We can climb up and go inside, as you saw before. Back here is our engine room, and we've got a whole bunch of gear here in case we need to equip ourselves with anything. This is our scanning device, and here is how we start the motor. So we'll just hold forward, W, to ease ourselves out of the hangar, and then we can fly around as we see fit. Woohoo! Now, there's currently no vehicles in the sky here, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to shoot random boxes, because those count as vehicles. You see how it just kind of automatically tracks it for you? Now, if you're wondering exactly how good this tracking is, it's mediocre so far. I'm trying to work on getting it to be better. I'm sure that there are some workshop examples that are quite good. I haven't played with them yet. So if we were to take this tank out, for example. This is a tank I made. It is not very good, but it is available to be shot at. So we're just going to move it out here. And we can't actually get back in the helicopter that we took out before because it's in midair. And there's no way to reboard it at that point, so we'll just spawn another one. That's the nice thing about these small ships. Boats tend to be a little bit finicky. They tend to take up a lot of CPU power, a lot of RAM. But helicopters and aircraft and stuff, whoa. Sorry, I'm used to the one button starting the vehicle, and instead it fires off all of your missiles. So exactly the opposite of starting your vehicle. I don't think we hit the goblin tank. I think that was all just wasted on the pavement. Besides, you probably don't want to shoot... Well, I guess you could shoot the tank with the missiles. It's just that the tank is on the upper end of what would be valuable to shoot with missiles. So you can see that it's one of those things where if you keep your eye on where the lasers are, you can still maneuver around and have fun and, you know, try and figure out how to dodge or whatever. And, you know, it'll automatically kind of adapt to you. And, of course, worst comes to worst, you can always back off a little bit and use those missiles. I'm trying to create some short-range missiles, having a hard time with it. But, for example... Got him with a couple of those missiles. And now that goblin tank is actually not toast at all, because the tank is... We hit the tank on the front of the tank, I think, and that's not going to do terribly much damage to a tank. And if we look over here... Bye! So when it comes to air battles, it's an interesting situation. With the ship battles in this game, you don't really get a sense that you're winning or losing. You know, you're either invincible or you're dead. And in the air battles, you have a similar problem, except for you're not invincible. You're just dead. It's whoever shoots first wins when it comes to air battles, as far as I can tell. The only exception, of course, being that we have chaff. Oh, that's not the chaff button. That is the debug physics button. Chaff. And chaff will try to distract any missile coming your way. Now, I'm not actually sure how effective the chaff is on this helicopter because it fires downwards. I didn't have room to really have it fire any other direction without threatening my safety. So I had it fire downwards, but I'm not sure whether or not it, you know, works down there on the ground. I think it probably does. Whoa. Now, this helicopter does perform a little bit better than most of your stock helicopters will because I know some tricks, so I'm using some of those tricks. The engine is not a standard diesel engine, but that won't save it from getting shot with missiles. Once you get shot with missiles, you're pretty well toast. If there were some NPC vehicles, I could show you how they blow up. It's much the same as everybody else, not very excitingly. But yeah, this helicopter was a lot of fun to make. It requires a little bit of finesse to build helicopters. It's not straightforward. But I've built so many non-combat helicopters that it was an interesting challenge to figure out how to mount weapons onto a helicopter. And that was, for example, the nose turret was a real chore to fit in properly. I have all of these ammo bins behind it. See that? That was really tough. And that's why it was so fun. Anyway, if you happen to want this helicopter, it's available on the workshop, obviously for free. Have a good one.